Just thinking about everything that's happened
I
since then
I,
is
I
really.
lost your pretty face.
Oh, did you lose me?
Yeah.
What about now? Can you see
I
me now?
I have no video. I can hear you.
Well, I'm wearing sunglasses. This is so awkward, and there's a lot of sun in my eyes.
Yeah. There's not sun in my eyes, but there's a lot of.
Future's so bright, I can barely see. Hello, friends,
Hello, friends.
and welcome to Pickles and Vodka, the mental health podcast, where we watch videos of ourselves from a year ago and have an existential crisis. Was that okay?
Yes.
It was also on the fly. Y'all need to send us more taglines.
Yeah. We're
We
clearly
are kind
struggling.
of floundering.
I know.
Yeah. We can't be witty all the time, contrary to popular belief.
It's true. Just most of the time.
Um, as you may or may not notice, depending on where you're listening to this, we're doing something new this episode and showing our faces to the world.
Yeah.
I'm sweating. Like, I have sweat in my, like, trickling down my arm right now, and it's very uncomfortable, but I'm pushing through.
Way to be a professional.
Yeah. I feel like all the podcasts do video these days, and we've been talking about doing it forever. But the reason that we're finally biting the bullet is because, as you know, last week we re-released our 110th episode where we met in person, but we released it with the video footage a year later, never released. So
Right.
if you haven't heard that or watched it, I should say, you might want to do that before this episode because we're going to be talking all about how things have changed since then, our reactions to that episode, anything else we want to talk about, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it was a trip to
Yeah.
watch.
It was fun,
It
actually.
was fun. Yeah. And I think this is going to be fun too.
Mm-hmm.
Things are really different, but I don't think all the changes are bad.
No.
So with that said, we're just going to get right into it. Oh, by the way, I'm Christina.
And I'm Lauren, and this is Pico and Meatball.
You can't really see them on my screen. Hopefully they'll come through in the other camera.
Yeah, that's why I had
Yeah,
to
the
duck
stars of
because
the show.
my head is in the way in the other camera.
Yeah, here you can kind
Oh.
of see Ruby behind me. Yeah. Hopefully they don't cause a disruption.
Pico and Meatball most definitely will. They have been all morning.
Yeah, if you're watching this on video, you'll finally get to see what we have to deal with every single week.
Mm-hmm. And if you heard last week's episode, then you heard our intro and you heard them going fucking nuts. So,
Yeah, yeah. I'm just hoping for the best, you know?
mm-hmm.
So, yeah, let's talk about
Here comes
where we
Ruby.
were when we recorded that.
Yeah.
Because that was a pivotal time in our lives. So we had been doing the podcast for a few months
Mm-hmm.
prior to that, but we had never met in person. And so I was traveling to St. Louis, where Lauren lives, with my family for a family reunion. And we decided, because the week wasn't crazy enough, to fit in this kind of live episode.
Yeah.
But as I talked about on that episode, I was really stressed because a lot of people in my family had just come down with COVID and recovered from COVID, but I was still paranoid about it. And
And of course, a long drive in the car with all your family, that's already stress no
yeah,
matter what.
yeah, there was a lot of other stuff going on in my life too that I won't talk about yet. But what about you?
um, well, I had just moved into that apartment about a month before. So, I was still getting used to all this like new place, new setup. I just went through all the stress of moving and was just kind of like taking a breather for a second finally. And of course, still like 5 months out from actually going to treatment, but not really in a great spot. I feel like that's
No.
part of why when you asked that question, I was just kind of like, I don't know. What was I doing then? I was like, oh yeah, probably your brain wasn't working well, so you don't remember it all.
You were full-time eating disordered.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to
Safe
think
to
of a way to
say.
say that that
Nope.
wasn't so,
That's
like, on the nose, but, I mean, yeah, you were going through some shit.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's where we were when we recorded the video.
Mhm.
And of course, when we were recording that, it was our last episode of 2022. Just thinking about everything that's happened
I
since then
I,
is
I
really.
lost your pretty face.
Oh, did you lose me?
Yep.
What about now? Can you see
I
me now?
I have no video. I can hear you.
Well, I'm wearing sunglasses. Oh, this is going great.
Yep.
Let's just get into the video.
Yeah.
Where do you want
Okay.
to start?
I want to start with the very first note that I took where he said, "It's so beautiful here." And I just wrote like big, like laughing faces after that. Like, oh my God, if only we knew.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about your apartment, right?
My apartment. Yeah. That was.
Yeah. We had both just moved into apartments at the time, as we said,
Mm
and we talked a lot about how happy we were with our
hmm.
apartments
Mm hmm.
and how they were the best places we had ever been in.
Yep.
And it's funny because now we're in very different situations. Same places,
yeah.
different
But we're
situations.
not quite as happy with.
No. Um,
There's a lot more in my notes about that kind of stuff. So.
all right, cool. That episode was kind of like a Q&A episode,
mm
so
hmm.
a lot of listeners asked questions that we answered. And so I was thinking we could go over like the answers that we gave then and kind of talk about whether or not our
Yeah.
views have changed. Yeah.
Just to kind of like setting the scene, I made note. I said, "We look so happy and comfortable there, even though we're not." I I was really like impressed and surprised, and I was like, "Christina's not going to believe me," but I'm like, "We look so
No, we
cute."
do look cute. We do. Well,
yes. And
I feel
and something else that I said is I was like, as I was watching, I realized that I worry sometimes about when we're just when it's audio only that like probably more about myself that we may be coming across like maybe not as just kind of like welcoming and inviting as we could be, but it really feels like it when you see the video. I just kind of feel like, oh yeah, I mean, if I didn't know them, I just want to sit there and hang out. So I'm proud of us.
aw.
Yeah.
You watched the video of yourself and it made you want to hang out with yourself?
Well, and you and our camera
Well,
woman
and
Vicky.
me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Vicky. Thanks again, Vicky, for helping us out
Mhm.
with that video. I wish you were here right now.
I know.
But yeah, we look really different. My hair was so crazy. I mean, it's still kind of crazy, but yeah, and I feel like I was wearing a ton of makeup. I felt really self-conscious about my appearance when we were making that video. And I mean, I still do, but like
Yeah. I think I did
that, I mean,
too.
that's why we haven't released it. It's really hard for us to watch videos of ourselves.
Mhm.
So Vicky started off the round of questions. We forced her to ask her question live that she had submitted to our Instagram.
Yes.
She asked us about our 3-year predictions. She asked us for realistic answers of where we thought we'd be in 3 years and then like
And then
fantasy
a dream
answers.
one.
Yeah, dream
Yeah.
answer. What did you answer for that? Let's go over your answer first.
So what's funny is I took like a lot of notes on your answer, but I didn't take a lot on mine, so I already have like forgotten like what exactly I said, except for I
Oh my
think
god, I thought you would take notes on your own answer.
I thought I would too, but you know, when I looked down, I was like,
This is funny.
I have way more notes on Christina's. Like, I'm going to interview her about them. And
Well, I mean, okay.
I know that I said realistically, like, oh, I'll still be in the same apartment, I'll still be at the same job, and at this point, realistically, I would see 3 years since things have gotten a little less stressful. That yeah, I'm might still be in the same job. There's still some benefits from sticking with it, but not the
Yeah.
apartment.
Yeah. Um, Meatball. Yeah, so we both talked about how much we loved where we lived.
Mhm.
And I mean, for me, like, it's still true. This is still a really nice apartment, but like, I moved here with Brett and we were like still together. We were very serious, actually. I remember being on that trip and thinking about like marriage. Like I was
Mm.
talking to my brother about it like on that trip.
Mhm.
So like this that's why when I watch this it's like it has that extra added level of like dissonance to it. Like
Yeah.
who was I?
Yeah.
We'll talk about it more later, but
Mhm.
like that is obviously like one of the biggest things I was thinking when I watched this is like I hadn't come out yet as queer. Like I was still with a man and yeah, it was just a yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
I definitely that was a huge one when that came up and it's like I knew that back then like you hadn't come out and all of that, but just to hear you say like, "Oh, I'll still be in the apartment. I'm still going to be with my partner." And I was like,
Yeah, I talked
"Hmm?"
about starting a business with him.
Right.
Like yeah, I still live with him now. Like we broke up in August, but we still live in the same apartment. I live here in my office now. And he's still my friend, and we still do creative projects together. Like, that's not gonna change. I think we're both kind of looking at it like we're both stuck here. We might as well help each other grow as artists and like,
Mhm.
um, but it's not easy.
No.
That's it. That's all I have to say for now about
Okay.
that.
Okay.
But yeah, in addition to talking about where we lived and our jobs, which nothing has really changed for me in that aspect, so
Yeah.
we don't have to talk about it. We also talked about recovery.
Mhm.
And that is what I want to talk a little bit about now because obviously, like, when we recorded that, you were not in recovery
Right.
and I was. And now we've kind of flipped.
Mhm.
And I like am hesitant to call it a relapse, but like it's basically a relapse. And I kind of predicted that in my response. I said, I don't want to think this way, but realistically, I'll probably have a couple relapses in the next few years.
Yeah. Knowing like where we were then and where we are now, I kind of expected those answers to be, yeah, some of the ones where we were just like, oh, wow, what were we saying then? What were we thinking? But I feel like when I heard them, I was just kind of like, I mean, I would agree for myself, my answers, and I didn't feel like yours were that far off. Just kind of
Mm.
saying like, obviously, both hoping and ideal were being in a better place and but also accepting the realism that it's like things aren't perfect and sometimes it does, I wrote down a quote where you said just when I think I'm done it comes back and I'm like, yeah, I mean that would be if you asked me today even though I am in a better spot.
And that's why, like, it's hard to talk about because I know that it is so tenuous. Like,
Mhm.
recovery is so tenuous. It almost feels like cocky to talk about it. Like, look where I was then and look where I am now. And like, and then a year later we might be reversed again.
Yeah.
And it's just so I don't I want this to show that like oh my god.
Okay.
But that just means we're human. Like that just means we're human. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily good or bad. It's just like a possibility that you have to be ready for, I guess.
Yeah, that's why I feel like, in our life since all we've really done is proved that, we were correct in what we said, that you never really know, and that we were being realistic. We weren't being, like, everything's going to be sunshines and rainbows for the rest of my life.
Well, maybe we're having such a hard time remembering what you said about your realistic recovery predictions because I don't know if you even talked about it much. Do you remember what your recovery mindset was at that day that we were recording? Like, do you remember thinking about that, like before, after, or during recording?
I feel like, and I would think that my answer was something kind of just like it would be nice to be doing better because it's a horrible lifestyle to keep up and it's not fun having all of these thoughts and things going through your brain 24/7. So it's just kind of like I would hope so, but I don't think I had a lot of confidence that it was possible.
Yeah. I think I could sense that when I met you.
Yeah. And there's still a healthy dose of that in my life that is just kind of like, well,
Why are
uh,
you saying that reassuringly? Like, don't worry, there's still a healthy dose of that in my life.
oh, I guess I just meant that not reassuring.
I was trying to make a joke.
I
Don't worry.
okay. But yeah,
Um,
there's still, like 40 plus years of this not continuing on an upward trajectory for the foreseeable future. So it's,
Recovery isn't linear.
yeah, so there's still a lot of
Life
like,
isn't linear.
yeah.
But our realistic answers to Vicky's question, I thought that mine was kind of sad.
Hmm.
Because basically what I said was, it's hard for me to envision a future better than this. This is better than what I could have hoped for in the past, because in the past I was just in survival mode. And so the fact that at that time I had a partner, I had a nice apartment, I had an okay job, that was
Mm-hmm.
like, I could not even imagine better than that. And I
Mm.
said that. I said, I don't
Yeah.
even have a dream bigger than this. And knowing what I know now, I was just a few months away from basically questioning all of that and like upending my life.
Right.
And it's been really hard, but it's also been like one of the most like monumental years for me in terms of like growth and discovering my identity.
Mm-hmm.
The point is, I think I would answer that differently now. I think I would have like I know to dream bigger.
Good.
I don't know like what exactly to dream for, but I know I need to dream bigger.
I think that's a positive.
Yeah.
You've
Oh, and
grown.
we both talked also about wanting to move to bigger cities or like to different
I
cities.
know. I did write that down. I was like, she said Richmond already.
I know. And listeners, the reason this is so funny to us is because we were literally talking about this on the phone just a few days ago. We're both in situations where we're thinking about making a move individually. But yeah, we were thinking like, would it be fun if we ended up in the same city?
Yeah, and I was like, you
Um,
mentioned you liked Richmond. I'd consider it.
Richmond is really cool. If I'm gonna stay in Virginia, I think I still stand by that answer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 6 months from now we might be recording from totally different places. Who
Yep.
knows?
I also noticed, I think when you were talking about like your dream job, that you said you considered being an art therapist. And I can't believe I didn't mention then that I had considered in the past doing music therapy. And I was like,
Really?
we could start our own place.
Oh my god. Music therapy, art therapy, and podcast studio.
Yep.
Dude, we just need people to give us money now.
Yeah, that's all. That's
That's
all we need.
it. Moving down our notes, I
Mhm.
think that's all I had for Vicky's questions. Did you have any more?
Oh, I think a separate question where we got asked like our fantasy dream place to live.
Oh yeah, so Heather's question was next. Heather was on the podcast 2 weeks ago, by the
Hmm.
way. Thank you again for that. But yeah, Heather has been sending us in voicemails for a while. She asked us in episode 110 if we could live anywhere in the world, what would be our, again, realistic answer and then our like fantasy answer.
She asked us
Um,
our favorite Madonna song.
yeah, you said Crazy in
Crazy
Love,
for
I
you.
think.
Crazy
Crazy
for
for
yeah.
That's a Beyonce song. I know pop culture.
Oh, but the fantasy place to live. We
We're
are
the
yeah, we're both gonna be neighbors
Yeah,
already.
I'm in Rivendell, you're in Bag End.
Yep, I mistook Bag End for Hobbiton because I
Yeah, which is in the Shire. We didn't
yes.
mention.
Yes, I just kind of had a mix up of which one was the actual house. So I did write in capital letters revoke my nerd cred.
Revoke your nerd cred.
Yeah.
It's okay. You go to D&D weekly, so I think you can still hold on to that for now.
Okay.
This is where my notes get kind of sparse.
Okay.
Um
See, I know I have a couple more that are related to questions we were asked
Also,
because
feel free to throw in anything else you think of in between our notes.
yeah, because one that I really love is oh, what were we asked? Oh, we were asked by Orion, what was the best Christmas present you ever gave? And that was when we talked about like things that we were getting for our family that year. And the part that I enjoy is that when we discovered that Christina's mom's birthday was the 23rd, December 23rd, and my parents are the 26th and 27th. And I said, "Oh, but I've never done anything for them because it's so close to Christmas." And Christina says, "Oh, so you hate your parents?" And it was just like at that moment, I have a still like camera shot where I was just like, "Oh, I could tell by our faces." I'm like, "That's what we were saying in that picture," and that just cracked me up.
So yeah, Orion also asked us about New Year's goals that we didn't meet.
Mm-hmm. That was a
So
good one.
again, it was
Mhm.
the end of 2022. He asked us, what goals did you set at the end of 2021 that you didn't meet? And mine was writing a book by the time I turned 30.
Mm-hmm.
I turned 30 in 2022
Yeah.
also. That was a big deal.
I thought you had a like really good insight to that too when you said like, "Oh, I didn't do it." And you just like recognize like, "Oh my god, I was putting like so much pressure on myself and it's not like I can't write a book just cuz I didn't by this arbitrary deadline." I was like, "It was really smart."
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole point of that was to say that those kind of goals, if you're not making them for the right reasons, or if you don't evaluate if you're even capable of meeting them first, you're just setting yourself up for disappointment and
Mhm.
mental anguish. I beat myself up a lot for not meeting a lot of goals.
Same.
What was your answer to that? What did you not do? Oh, was it dating?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought that was also funny because you're still talking about wanting to do that.
Not only that, but because I have brought that up recently, I decided this year, out of all the things that, I want to put like some effort to and start moving towards, I was just kind of like, yeah, that one's on the bottom. so so it definitely became not as important. I was just like, we'll get to it when I get to it.
Well, that's a great segue into what I wanted to talk about, which is how we would answer that question now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how have our priorities changed? For me, I'll just say I purposefully started 2023 with no goals
Same.
due to that episode where
Oh.
we talked about
Mm-hmm.
how we were setting some goals that we weren't able to meet. And that kind of
Hmm.
got me thinking. And so this year, I started the year specifically not having any New Year's resolutions. I just wanted to kind of show up and see what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, did shit happen. Yeah, shit happened. I'm still processing. We'll talk about it, but yeah, what about you?
So I gave up on the idea of New Year's resolutions like years and years ago. I don't really care for the idea. Um so
Fair.
yeah. And probably for similar reasons cuz I don't know. To me it's just never my thinking is that people like put so much stress on it that it's like you have to make a goal on January 1st cuz it's a new year and I'm just kind of like so that's a date. I'd rather make a goal for myself because I have like hit a personal turning point and like wow, I want to work on this. That makes way more sense than saying it's January
Yeah,
1st.
hot take.
Yeah.
So with
Yeah.
that said, neither of us had goals this year. What is something that happened that you were like pleasantly surprised by or that you were proud of?
So over the course of the year, I feel like I got more comfortable with my friend situation, limited as it still continues to be. But I feel like in the past, I always kind of, felt like, oh, I don't really have that many friend connections and I want to have more and I am expecting them to fit this certain mold in my head. So it seemed like I'd push myself towards things like I met some people in this area that I like, so I'm going to try and hang out with them more and make them my friends because it makes sense to have someone who lives less than 5 miles away from you be your friend. And I feel like this year it's kind of like the people who I put effort into being friends and staying friends with are like Vicky, who's an hour away, or my friend Stacy, who's 5 hours away, or
Mm.
you, who we might meet in
Different
person
time
once a
zones.
year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, like, I feel a little more comfortable. Like I still feel like I'm kind of, yeah, a loner and all that sort of stuff, but I feel a little more comfortable, I think, in the friend situation. Like, yeah, I put the effort into the people that are more important to me, even though it's not as convenient for us to hang out. They're not going to be someone I can call and say, I'll be over there in 5 minutes. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But that's not
so it
only
was a learning experience
overrated, but I don't
and a
think
good
it's
one.
very realistic.
Yeah.
Like, how many people can just drop everything? We're all
Hmm.
busy. That's something I've been coming to terms with too, is just realizing that at the end of the day, I am alone, and like I can't place my sense of security in other people. Like when I was describing my relationship with Brett in
Hmm.
episode 110, I said he makes me feel very safe. And I think I've chosen a lot of relationships in the past because of how they make me feel safe.
Yeah, I would
But
agree with
then
that.
when that person is no longer there, then exactly.
Exactly. You got it, Pico.
Like but yeah, like I really had to figure out how to cultivate that sense of safety in myself, and
Mhm.
I'm still like not there yet. Like I don't feel really safe when I'm just with me at the end of the day. Like it's
Mhm.
really hard these days. But I've spent the whole year like realizing that.
Yeah.
There's been a few relationships this year that I've just been really grateful for. Some of them were people I was close to before, some of them were people that I like just kind of started talking to again this year. But there's just been a lot of really good people in my life, and yeah, especially now at the end of the year, I'm just really appreciating them.
Yeah.
We talked about failure a lot with Orion's questions. I just wrote examine the reasons behind failures.
And then I wrote, so distracted by how cute Pico is.
Oh my god, Pico in that video when his face was looking like in the wine glass,
I know.
like it was so cute. Um, what else?
Yeah. Uh,
I was going to go to my notes and then I realized my notes are on my phone, which is currently filming me.
no. um, I liked that. I think you said maybe we'll drop the perfect vape sequence in the new year. We didn't.
No, no. Perfect Vape will sponsor us someday.
In fact, I believe 2023 is when you tagged them in the Instagram post that I saw.
That was a mistake.
Oh, it was hilarious. I loved it.
No. Yeah, um I tried quitting vaping a few times this year.
Oh, yeah.
I was able to go from like the pod system to like the disposable system, and now I'm trying to quit disposables, but as you can see, that's not really.
Yeah.
But again, I think when I set that goal of quitting something cold turkey, like how realistic is that goal?
Right.
And like maybe I should be setting more realistic goals. But then you can
Hmm.
use that as a cop out, or like you can use it as an excuse.
Yeah, because I think about it like quitting cigarettes. In the end, that was how I did it. Is I quit cold turkey, but I also tried to do just that a few times and try to cut down a few times. And I'm like, I had a lot of failures at quitting first in many different
Yeah.
ways. So,
That's what I wanted to talk about. When people congratulate me on being sober from alcohol, for instance, it just really feels off because, yeah, I'm sober now, but it took me so many tries to get here. And also, like, I'm addicted to lots of other things. And I feel like
hmm.
I don't deserve it. I want to hear about you quitting cigarettes because I don't think you've really talked about that on the show much.
Oh, it is kind of a funny story.
Tell
Um,
me, please. I'll put on my sunglasses.
okay. Um, just
Just
basically,
kidding.
all right. um, just basically, I'd say like I'd started smoking regularly in college, And sometimes I wouldn't, like it would be kind of an off and on for a while, but after a while it pretty much was all the time. And I tried like a few different methods. Yeah, I definitely like tried to quit cold turkey, and I tried to quit, which was pretty successful for a while, by marking the days like on a calendar. Like I would mark how many days I did not smoke, so then I could look back at it and be in like see improvement. I could see like, oh,
Nice.
in February there were only 3 days that I didn't smoke, but then in March there were 8, and in April there were 12. So then like that was actually, I felt like, a pretty positive way to do it.
Yeah.
And I was pretty successful for a while when I did not smoke for like a week, and then when I went back to it, then I felt like I instantly looked older. And I was like, fuck this shit.
Mm.
But I think that was the time that I quit, and then like not long after that went to treatment for the first time. So of course it was like, yeah, nope, come back here, buddies. and
Yeah.
and
You gotta smoke in treatment.
right,
No, just
if
kidding.
if they let you, which most don't anymore. I feel like.
I take that back. That was a very irresponsible statement.
No, I
You
hope
gotta
you.
smoke in treatment.
I hope you realize that that was sarcasm. We're not really saying that.
There I go, worried about people pleasing again.
But so how I finally quit, it was in April 2018, because I had just moved to St. Louis. It was on Easter Sunday for whatever reason. Like just that hit at the right time. So I just set that as my date. I'm like, that's going to be the last day. I had a lot of trouble with my ears. Like this happens periodically. They just kind of like get clogged up, and I have to go
Oh,
get
we
them
know.
cleaned. Yeah. um, but so I was having like really trouble with that. And so 2 days after my quit date, then I went in to, like a walk-in clinic, and told her what's going on. And, she just has to ask, because I've never been there, all the questions about like my health and things like that. And she's like, are you a smoker? And I was like, actually, I just quit. And she's like, oh, when? And I, said Sunday. And that's 2 days ago. And she's like, I'll mark down trying to quit. It was just like
Okay,
that was like the gauntlet was thrown. She said that, and I was like, fuck you, lady. I'm going to come back here in 10 years and say I have not had a cigarette
yeah.
since.
I think you did tell that story one time, but it's even
Okay.
better like watching you tell it.
Yeah.
Yeah, what kind of thing is that to tell someone trying to quit?
Exactly. It was like I was happy that I had set my date and done it, and she's just kind of like, you probably won't.
How about some fucking encouragement?
Exactly.
Jesus, pardon my language.
No.
Someone apologized to me the other day for swearing too much in front of me, and I just laughed.
Yeah, I always get a kick out of that when people do that to me too. I'm like, if only you
Or
knew.
when people come on the podcast and they're like, "Can I swear on here?"
Yeah. Though that I understand. You don't know what their audience is.
Another thing that I wanted to talk about was how we had to cut out the hot and spicy pickle awards
Mm-hmm.
and like what we learned from that. I mean, we've talked about it a little bit, but
Yeah.
I watching it again, I kind of had a new empathy for myself.
Oh, good. That's what I was thinking. I was like, I hope you give yourself more grace for that, because we've talked now about like what the leading up time was like. And
Yeah, we won't rehash the
yeah.
details, but yeah, basically I fucked up. I didn't have something ready in time. We skipped a segment we were going to record. And in the moment I felt really bad about it. Like I tortured myself about that for weeks probably. Like I said on our 5-year anniversary episode, nothing matters. Like
Yeah.
that stuff doesn't matter. Like I can't believe I was stressing so much over something that nobody's going to be mad at us.
Yeah, no one's gonna come at you with pitchforks like, why didn't you do them?
Like creatively over the last year, I feel like this podcast has taught me a lot in terms of like the value of preparation. When we did that episode, I wasn't very prepared. We were just kind of winging it,
Mm-hmm.
which was
Mm-hmm.
fun, but I think
Mm-hmm.
this year we've both done a lot of work on like making sure we're more prepared, having an outline.
I was probably for the first time getting started for this episode, preparing for it a full hour ahead of time.
Oh my god, who is she?
Well, because I knew that I had to be on camera, so I had to make myself look presentable, and knew I had to set up everything differently because we're recording, so
I planned for everything except for the sun in my eyes.
yeah.
Like there's just a big old glare on my forehead. We're just gonna move on. What were we just talking about?
We were just talking about giving yourself more grace.
God damn it. Like, was there anything that you watched in that episode and you were like really embarrassed about?
I don't really think so. I was pleasantly surprised. I really felt like it was
Yeah.
going to be harder to watch myself.
Yeah, honestly, me too. And that is another pattern I think we've seen in the last
Mm-hmm.
year is just it's never as bad as you think it is.
Yeah. And this,
I'm like losing steam all of a sudden. It's the
oh no.
fucking sunlight.
I made note that I still make hot and spicy pickles. I have some in my refrigerator right now.
From the same batch?
No, no.
Oh,
That's,
we talked about the food and then we never showed the food.
I know.
Except for the time that we ate a pickle.
Yep. But I think there is a picture, like Vicky was taking some pictures. I think there is some that show the whole spread.
Vicky, you've been holding out on us?
Oh, I have them all. She sent them all to me.
Oh, I was teasing anyway.
Oh,
I
okay.
sent them ages ago. I had a really good time doing that
Mm-hmm.
episode. And I hope that you guys had fun watching it. And I hope you have fun watching this, whatever this is. I mean, we can wrap up by talking about the next year.
Yeah, that would be logical, even though I don't know
Yeah,
what to say.
for me, watching how stuck, like, I think I was stuck, but I was
Mm-hmm.
painting it as being, like, content.
That makes a lot of sense.
Like,
Yeah.
and so this year, like, I'm still stuck, but at least now I know I'm stuck. Like, I know I need to do something, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's focusing on my mental health or getting a new job or like moving or like all three, like, or whatever that looks like. I know I need to do something. And, like, that's kind of what I'm taking away from this whole experience
Yeah,
is like timing really matters.
so I was just thinking, going back to, like our prediction answers and thinking how, like, at that point, I was saying, I'm sure I'm going to be in the same apartment. I'm sure I'm going to be in the same job. Both are great. And then over the course of this year, then like both of those things fell apart on me. And I would have said, like, I'm going to try and be out of this apartment in this coming year. I'm going to be try and be out of this job in this coming year. And so I think my takeaway is just I don't have to go into the year thinking that I know how things are going to play out.
It's tempting to make
Mm-hmm.
those goals. Like, I'm a kind of person who likes New Year's resolutions, or at least like
Mm-hmm.
I did in the past. I love a fresh start. Who
Yeah.
doesn't?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not always possible to keep that momentum going.
And sometimes, something that you think you should be working for, I feel like then suddenly just like life throws you a total curveball and it's like, whoa, that's actually the opposite of what I want.
Well, but also like when I was talking about the kind of changes I wanted to make back in 2022, I was talking about how I wanted to be more honest. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think in that context, we were talking about jobs that involved advocacy,
Yeah.
but the overall theme was like, I want to be more outspoken. I want to be more honest. And I think like I did accomplish that this year, and so did you.
Yeah, I think you did.
Like, we both have taken a lot of risks this year when it comes to vulnerability, like on this
Mm-hmm.
show and in real life.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, just keeping the podcast going, like while you were in treatment, and like all those calls that we did
Yep.
from the courtyard, and like
Mm-hmm.
that was a lot, and we did that.
Yeah.
And we didn't even know we were going to have to do all that when we made
No.
episode 110. Like,
Right.
that's the thing. We had
Yeah.
so many challenges ahead of us.
Mm-hmm.
And so like knowing about the challenges we were going to face, something like like, oh, we couldn't do the awards, like that doesn't seem like such a big deal now.
Yeah. No, that's a really good way I think of putting it.
Yeah, and I want to say like in the next year I think we can continue to be even more vulnerable and take even more risks and be more true to ourselves and like lay down more boundaries, you
Yeah.
know?
Just continue to evolve.
Just continue being professional.
Yes.
That's all. That's all I want.
So my final notes that I took first, look at me trying not to cry at Orion's gift. Because we
Oh my
got the
God.
best gifts.
We got the best gifts. Like, Orion really delivered, and I still owe him a letter. Like, I've been writing a card to a few people now for days,
Oh.
weeks, months. But yeah, that was really precious to relive that moment all over again. Yeah, one of our listeners sent us fan art essentially of our
Of our
pets, and
pets.
I withheld it from Lauren until that episode where I revealed
Yes,
to
I
her.
got to unbox it on air.
You still have those at your apartment, by the way. Can we
I
talk about that?
know! I
Oh
forget
my God.
about that until like...
So after we recorded that episode, I went back to my hotel and I left the cards at Lauren's apartment, and she still has them.
Yeah, so I have mine, but I also have Christina's.
Wait, do you have them right now within reach?
No, it's downstairs.
Okay, that's fine.
But my final note with 3 stars is we are seriously so cute.
Oh my God. I can't. I don't. Okay, we are. You know what? We are.
Thank you.
We're fucking cute.
Yep.
We're really cute.
If you
And
watch that
Pico's
video,
cuter.
yeah, well, yeah. Pico's number 1.
Listeners, give us a consensus. Are we cute?
Don't answer are we cuter than Pico, because we don't want to hear that part.
Well, no one can be cuter than Pico. But yeah, please give us your thoughts on both that episode and this episode, because I don't know if we're gonna do something like this again. I really want to do more video coming up, but it's scary.
Yeah, it's something that's probably like been on my mind the entire past year. Like occasionally, like maybe we should release some video with this episode, but I'm the same way. I'm always like, I don't want to turn my camera on.
Well, consider this us dipping our toe into the water.
Forcing ourselves to do it.
No life preservers.
Yep.
We're out here. Oh my God! Look, I have the pickles and vodka sticker.
Oh. I can't tell because your video cut out again on Riverside.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Well, I'll hold it up to my phone.
Okay.
I'm ordering some news. I'm ordering another batch of these soon, so if you want one, hit me up.
Yay! Yes.
And that's pickles and vodka.
Yeah, we made it through another year.
We made it through another year. We can't wait to go through another year, and we hope that you stick along for the ride. We love you, and
as does Pico. He just gave a big yawn on camera.
Yeah, Pico loves you.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. I don't know how to do bye on video. Oh, wait, but we need to tell people. We need to do the social media things.
Oh.
We just stop. Okay. So next week, as we said, we're going to have a guest, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, if you have any thoughts about any episodes we've done or episodes you want us to do in the future, you can hit us up on social media. Lauren, how can they do that?
Well, you can contact us on our Instagram at Pickles and Vodka Podcast. You could email us at picklesandvodkapodcast@gmail.com. You could leave us a message on our Facebook, Pickles and Vodka, a mental health podcast. There's also YouTube, where you are seeing this lovely video at Pickles and Vodka Podcast, or you can contact us on our personal Instagrams at xtinajumper and at Pico Suave, PICOSAUVE.
Bye!
Bye!